This is 2017-01. Bring the bells back to Balangiga, Samar, Philippines. So did everybody have a chance to read it, or do you want me to read it for you?
Don't read it.
Okay, I'm going to do the...
Read the therefore. Be it resolved.
Therefore be it resolved that Veterans for Peace supports efforts of both countries in the spirit of peace and reconciliation in the Pacific to return the bells to Balangiga. I think it's you have to understand that the American military, I think it's important in this to go back and get some history here. Whereas the American military occupied the Philippines on July 4th, 1898, and began the conflict known in history as the Filipino-American War. And during the course of that war, the Americans, I'm trying to skip through this to make it quicker, but where you can see it here, whereas the Filipino resistance to occupation came to a head in the small town of Balangiga, eastern Samar, on September 28, 1901, where Navy fighters staged a surprise attack on Company C, 9th U.S. Infantry Regiment, killing 74, and whereas the American response to this encounter resulted in a kill and burn policy headed by General Jacob Smith and U.S. Marine Corps Major Littleton Waller, which resulted in the deaths of 15,000 Filipinos above the age of 10, and whereas the Balangiga was occupied by the 11th U.S. Infantry Regiment, who then took the bells as war trophies. The smaller bell was given to the U.S. 9th Regiment, now on display in Korea. The second larger bell was on display at Warren Air Force Base, Cheyenne, Wyoming. And whereas over the years, negotiations between U.S. President Bill Clinton and Filipino President Fidel Ramos occurred in the late 1990s, and as late as 2006, HCR House Resolutions 481 was introduced but died in committee. And whereas that since it has been 115 years since the bells were taken and the Republic of the Philippines has been independent since July 4th, 1946, the timing is right to renew the efforts to bring them home. Therefore, the resolution calls for us to support both countries in the spirit of peace and reconciliation to return the bells. And our position on that, Dan Shea will explain why we do not support this. Go ahead, Dan.
I'll see if I can put this up here if I'm going to read. Okay, so one of the first things is we weren't very familiar about this. Usually when there's a resolution coming out, we're pretty familiar about the movements that are around the history of some things that we should be involved in. So this is a learning lesson for us, but the return of the bells, I think first of all, we said, what bells are they talking about? And I felt that the title would have been better just said, Return the Bells of Balangiga to the Philippines. And that's really the crux of the resolution, to bring the bells back. I did my own research though, because anyone can do this. They can go online, they can do a Google search and learn the history of it. Some of that is, of course, in your in the whereases. It's an interesting history of the Filipino-American War from 1899 to 1902, and the Philippine resistance movement, wherein the United States military attacked this particular town, Balangiga. I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time pronouncing it. In what could be considered a massacre of 15,000 people. The church bells gave a warning ring to the resistors that were the resistors, and were taken. The bells were taken as war trophies, and has remained a festering wound for the town and for the Catholic Church. Now, the immediate question for the board of directors were, what was the story behind this request? Not the story of the history, but the story of the request. What can we support? What can we support? Who is asking for it? Why is it important? You're asking us to support something, but is there a resolution out there? Is there something that's going on that we can actually point our fingers at? The immediate question for the the board had no knowledge of the history, and these bells, except for the brief history that was provided in the whereases in this resolution, none of us felt confident in approving the resolution without getting more information from the submitter. I was tasked with trying to get more information and clarification I attempted to contact Aaron M. Davis, who is living in the Philippines, and a VFP member at large. All I had to do was go, and I was trying to reach him by email, and he's overseas, and I wasn't going to call him by phone, but we did reach out to him, and I didn't get a reply back. So there was something in the fourth resolution, and you heard that here. Over the years of negotiation between the U.S. President Clinton and the Philippines, Fidel Ramos, occurred in the late 1990s. There was a line here as late as 2006, HCR 81 was introduced but died in committee. So one of the questions I had was, now this raises a question, is there a specific bill or renewal of this 2006 HRC 81 resolution, and what was specific language of that resolution? I have no idea what that resolution was about. We didn't know what that was about, and I couldn't really find any language on it. Now, the other is in the whereas, it reads, in the fifth whereas, it reads that since it has been 115 years since the bells were taken, the Republic of the Philippines has been independent since July 4th, 1946. The timing is right to renew the efforts to bring them home now. Well, the timing is right. Why is the timing right now? Give me a rationale for that. Especially when we consider the presidents of both the United States and the Philippines are both outrageous purveyors of violence and racism. These are, I have a real problem of trying to support a resolution when I don't know where it's coming from, when we're going to give credit to Trump and to Duarte, who is accused of, massacring Muslims and using the drug war to kill his opposition. So this is a real concern that we really had about this, and we want to know why it's the right time. Is it the right time because these two guys can agree to it? And how is this going to feel to reflect upon us as our Muslim community says, hey, these guys, what are you doing making a bargain with these people and trying to make them look good when they're attacking our people in their country? So that's one of the reasons that we have some difficult time for us to vote for it. At least I do. And the other is we certainly support the peace and reconciliation in the Pacific, but what is specifically in the process for this reconciliation? How are we to support this resolution? Is there a bill before Congress, a resolution in the United Nations? What campaign can we point to? I served 9 months in the Philippines, and after leaving the battles of Vietnam, and I have great respect for the people and their struggles, then and now. But I know that the current president, Rodrigo Duarte, has been accused of using death squads against his opposition under cover of his campaign against drugs. So that's basically where we left it off. And we'll leave it up to you to make that decision. Thank you.
So we voted not to support the resolution for the reasons stated by Dan. Any discussion? All right, stand up, please, and come up to the microphone. If you raise your hand, you want to just come forward to the microphone. If you are in favor of it, come to your left. If you're opposed to this, come to your right. Identify who you are, where you're from, what chapter, what your name is, and please use the microphone.
I'm Jay Wank, Chapter 058, Woodstock, New York, the Maury Kolau chapter. Maury was a volunteer in the Lincoln Brigade and a veteran of World War II. By the way, our chapter is probably the smallest and most active in the entire Veterans of Peace. We have 5 members, 100% of which are 100% active. According to the comments that were just made, I think a slightly different approach needs to be made. Since the board does not have enough information, as you stated, And since I believe that this is a good idea, then the board should table this and proceed to get the information that you need. It may not get it next month or this year, but go after it. I'm also an elected representative in the Woodstock Town Board, and we recently had a discussion about making Woodstock a sanctuary town. And some of the idiots on the town, oh, okay, table the motion.
Anyone else want to speak on this? Raise your hand and come forward. Just come forward.
We go back and forth.
We'll go, yeah, is there someone who wants to speak against the resolution? Come over to this side. Okay, then we'll hear that.
Steve
We'll only hear
Sensley.
one more person, I think, if there's no other opposition.
From State College, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I'm split here. I agree with Dan in terms of the logic of government to government, but at the same time, what I understand what was taken was a war trophy. Now, war trophies, probably there were lots of body parts also taken back, from what I've read about that struggle. So, I'm split
Okay.
about that.
Right.
You know, I don't believe in taking war trophies. I think war trophies should be given back, but at the same time, if this came from a small church, maybe the church deserves to have their bells back. For me, it's as simple as that.
It was a half a no.
Yes, it was.
So, yes.
So you can have the other half.
I can have a half a yes.
You can have a half.
I'm sorry?
This is a comment.
You're going to speak against. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
So just briefly, I'm not going to vote. If it comes up for vote, I'm not going to vote against it, but I can't vote for it. If the language had something in there about it being people to people, if it had something in there about the current president and how he's not, I don't know exactly how to put it, but it's someone we would not support, and this is about people to people, needs to be some language in there about that, then I could support it. But I just find it strange. I just can't support something that's going to make this guy look good. I just can't, unless I'm holding him accountable at the same time. Because I just can't do that. So I wouldn't vote against it, but I definitely would vote for it, and I would hope it wouldn't pass.
Who are you and what chapter are you on?
Oh, I am Michael McPherson. I'm of Chapter 61 in St. Louis, Chapter 21 in New Jersey. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Paul Cox, Chapter 69, San Francisco. I don't think it's great wording, but it is obviously a people-to-people thing. And it's a return of a war trophy. You know, how hard is it? And yeah, it could have been written up better and more, you know, but it doesn't say anything about Duarte. It does say that the governments have a responsibility to make this happen. But you know, the DOD could make this happen because it's in one of their damn air bases, and if pressure was put on the commander of that base, maybe he would return it. So I think it's a perfectly fine resolution, not well written. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the problem. Okay, next, Con. State your name.
Willie Hager, Jacksonville, Chapter 174, Jacob George. And I'm speaking against this, but yet I like the spirit of this. Because what we're trying to do is create a spirit of peace in the Pacific. That was one of our themes at one particular time. So in that context, I would be supportive. But I have to say that when this first came up and I read it, and I couldn't imagine how we would in any way interact with the president of the Philippines as a peace advocate and turn over these trophies that I don't consider them war trophies, I consider them relics. To turn these relics back over to the church as they should be and everything, but it would be in the name of peace and everything. And I think that's a total contradiction to what's going on in the Philippines right now. You know, we call them, they're independent since 1946. I think they're not independent anymore. I think they're under a dictatorship.
That's it,
So
well,
I'm kind of like,
your time's up. Your
my time's up, but I'm against this.
Any more votes in favor? Any more comments in favor?
Favor.
All right. Jan Ruman, Maurice Martin.
Oh,
okay.
God, I thought you said I was on. So I'm not Jan.
No.
I didn't see him behind me.
You ain't that good looking.
I was like, holy crap, I'm not that good looking. Okay. No, for me, this is a simple question, and I think it's arrogant of us. Can you hear me? Oh, I'm sorry. What is my name? I'm Maurice Martin, and I'm in chapter 162 in Berkeley, California.
Name, rank, and serial number.
I'm out, retired. Let's see what I got. Yes. So the United States, we're at war with these people. We took what belonged to the Philippine people, and I think it's arrogant of us to decide when it's the right time for us to return it to them. It's theirs. We should give it back to them. Whether it's not up for us to decide what type of government they have, what kind of leadership is going on. We took something that belonged to the Philippine people, and this is a really simple issue. Give it back to them. It belongs to them, and they can decide how they want to do it. But it's not ours, and we should. We took it. We should give it back to them. And it's not. And I think it's arrogant, colonialist, elitist to try to decide how, and what time we choose to give it back to them. And I'm done. Thank you.
Con vote.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm tearing up everything, and okay. Watch this. I'll tear that up.
I'm Ellen Barfield from the Baltimore Chapter 105 in Maryland. Yes, this is a very sympathetic idea, but it is the job of the proposer, not the job of the board, to find out more information, which we need. We don't have it. I'm sorry the proposer's far away and didn't respond, but that's the case. And the question before us is, do we approve this now or do we not? If he wants to resubmit it, he can with more info, but it's not our job to seek it out. I have been on the resolutions committee for many years in the past, and I'm sorry, but there's a process and the proposer's not following it. So for right now, we need to say no to this.
Exactly, yes.
Okay,
Please no
next.
cost talk. Please no cost talk.
Right. Jan, you're up. You have 1 minute.
Jan Ruman, chapter 191 in San Diego. Is it 91 or 191? I'm getting so damn old. 91 in San Diego. Don't laugh. It might happen to you one day.
It's there already.
All right, let's go.
Anyway, I would like to support this proposal, but I can't because it is drafted in such a fashion that I have.
Are you on the concept? Are you
No, I
support?
said elected vote for this. But I am in support of the concept, like Maurice just said.
How are you going to vote? You're voting for it or
I'm not
against it?
voting for anything because it's poorly drafted, I think. But the bells do need to be brought back home to the Philippines.
Okay. All right. There you go. Doug Loomis, are you up?
Okinawa chapter, stand if I can remember the number, sorry. It was suggested that it be tabled. I'd like to move that it be tabled so that we could vote on tabling it. But send it back to the person who proposed it, and as someone just said, it's up to that person to make the clarifications. Since people are all divided about liking it and not liking the way it's written, I move that it be tabled and returned to the person who proposed it for clarification.
I second the motion.
So if there's a second,
We have the motion already on the floor.
Point of order, has
Yes.
there been a motion first to stop discussion?
Not yet.
Okay.
I've said move.
No, wait. We're gonna let one more. If there's no con, then that's the end of it.
Two-thirds vote to stop discussion.
No, but no. The rule is when there's no more, when there's not another person here, then that's the end of the discussion.
Hi, I'm Dan Saints from Chapter 171, Charlottesville, Virginia. And I just have one question. Is Aaron M. Davis from the Philippines?
Not originally, I don't think. I think he's moved there.
Okay.
He's moved there.
Because if you were, then I would defer to him on the issue of the Philippines, but that's all.
Okay. Is there a con? Is there a con vote? Any opposed? There's no con vote. So if there's no con vote, then that's the end of the discussion. We don't go back to another pro vote. So you got a pro, con. If there's no con, then that's the end of the debate.
We make the motion on the table.
That's the rule.
We make the motion on the table.
There was a motion made to table it? And who made the motion?
I'll second it.
Who's the motion maker on, who, I've heard it.
Jay Wink made the motion first, and Doug Loomis seconded it.
Is that how we have it, Doug? Do you have that? Please don't talk just talk. Monique, you have that?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Yes?
If we're following Robert's rules of order, you need to take a vote on this one before you make a new motion.
You can't have a motion on the floor with a motion. Point of order.
Okay.
This is the first motion. The other one hadn't been a motion yet. This is the first motion.
We have gone for a long process over a long number of years. We've come up with this procedure, which our president is trying to enforce. It is not Robert's Rules of Order at this point. I'm sorry, I know there's lots of experts on Robert's Rules of Order, but this is the procedure that we've adopted over a long process, and we need to abide by it. One pro, one con, one pro, no cons, no more debate. It goes to the vote, there's no tabling.
Right.
And by the way, we're just a straw vote. You understand that, right? It goes to
Right.
the ballot later.
Right.
And so there really is no, I don't think that
There is-
tabling is a proper.
Right, yeah. It's not, because we're not tabling, this goes to the membership. So we can't table it at this juncture. See, we either vote up or down on the motion. So is there a motion for the vote to call the question on Resolution 2017?
You don't need that, there's been no more debate.
There's no more debate.
You don't need a motion.
Previous question, to call a previous question. All in favor of this, raise your hand. All in favor of the 2017-01, raise your hand.
Who's voting?
Any members.
You do one side, I'll do the
Are you
other.
gonna count abstentions?
Yes, we'll get to them.
Can you let all members can vote?
What's that?
All members can vote, it's not just.
Right, yeah, all members can vote, and associate and full members. This is the resolutions now, not the bylaws.
Board,
Are they already?
We already voted.
we already voted, said no.
Yes, don't forget. to-
Yeah, we voted in our own, but we're voting now, so if there's any votes, yes votes, there are no yes votes up here, so what's the total vote for yes?
I got 9 and you got
8, so 17.
17. Okay. All no votes, raise your hand. Count those.
I get the board.
You get the board, okay.
I did too.
I just thought it's strange. Did someone not change your mind?
Okay, the noes, what do you have?
Dan.
I got 11.
I know, I'm asking. I know you
Okay,
have
the
right
no
now.
votes are recorded as 32. Abstentions.
Wow.
Woo. Okay, get out there and count those. Keep your hands up.
Oh, you advocated for abstention.
Shh.
Michael, I thought you were going to abstain, man.
When it comes up for actually on the ballot, but here, because I want this, I just like not to see it happen, because it doesn't represent us well, so.
Sorry to get the board.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Abstention, okay. Got it, I got you guys, yes.
The abstentions have it.
I got 14. You got
30 altogether. 44 abstentions? No, 30, yeah, you have.
I have 14.
And I have 60.
Oh, you have 16. Okay, so the abstentions are 30. So what's the total final call on that, Monique? Okay, so that will be the recorded vote, and that it will go to the membership for their consideration.